Alright. So let's continue yesterday. I think we were on Click-a-Turtle. So, unlike so now that we're actually moving into the main programming things, this is gonna be where I don't actually show you any code anymore. You're not gonna be receiving code. This is going to be a lot of brainstorming. So basically this entire project is going to be building up and creating a single one. Again, I'm going to have y'all break up each section and create versions of it. So once you're done with this section, copy your code into one of the files, and then when you start the next one, create another copy of the file, like we've been doing, like version 0, version 1, version 2, and we're building off of it. Basically, I use a program that allows me to see the difference between two different files, like what code you modified to it, so that I can actually see your progress. But this is all you're given. And we're going to be making a game where you click on a turtle and it starts adding points. We're also going to be dealing with randomness. Right now, we need to handle events. So remember, event is something that triggers something to happen, and we write event handling code that will execute whenever an event occurs. So your first task is to set up the game environment. I'm still working on the documentation. We're on U, right? Our U comes under T, right? Alright. So start with creating a file, and start with this code right here, or this file right here. So familiar yourself with the different sections of this template. Throughout this project, you will be adding code under these sections. This is a common technique for organizing a long program. We break up a program into different sections, and we start populating the sections one at a time, occasionally modifying the others. So the import statements you should be familiar with. The location where you import all modules that you will use. Game configuration, usually after importing, we initialize all global variables. So this is where all the variables will be defined and initialized. Then we create objects down in this initialized turtle section. This is where all the turtles you for your game will be created. This is also where you change any configurations of those turtles, such as starting position, color, and size. So the game configuration is more global configuration of variables, whereas this is more specialized. Then we have game functions. Any functions you create will go under here for the game. And then we have events. This is code that will tell that'll detect when an event occurs and send it to the appropriate function. The events is where you have event listeners. Listeners work in the background of a program and are used to listen for an event, such as a key press. So we have events. Event would be from the user, such as clicking. We have event listeners. It tells the program, sit there and wait for the user to click. So it tells it to wait for a click, and then it redirects it to something known as event handler. This is the function you create that handles when a button is clicked. So for the first part, you're going to be adding and importing for your turtle that you've done in all the previous code. In the game configuration section of your code, create variables for the shape's fill color, size, and shape, and set them to values of your choosing. For example, you will see throughout the activity, the color is pink, the size is 2, and the shape is a circle. Again, it's your choice. You can remember that the shapes are arrows, turtles, circles, squares, triangles, and classic. You can use whatever you want, whatever color. In the initialize turtle object section of your code, create your turtle, give your turtle a variable name. In this one, they chose the name Spot. So for example, if your shape is a circle, you can might name it Spot. The example used throughout this activity references Spot as a turtle variable. You can choose whatever name fits best with your game. So to initialize your turtle, remember we call this. Remember that this is the name, the nickname we gave the module, and this is the class inside that module. You save it to an object. In this case, they saved it to Spot. And remember to set the shape size, fill color of your shape using the variables you created earlier. So for example, once you create a spot, you can do shape and then whatever the spot shape is. In the event section of your code, create a so this is an events at the very end. So again, events is down at the bottom. Create a screen object from the module turtle and call it WN, short for window. And then do the main loop. This prevents the screen from closing once it's finished executing. So the turtle's main method is used to keep the screen on a constant state of listening. So I've been telling you that this only really does, it just keeps the screen going. That's not exactly what it does. Yes, that is one of the primary purposes of it. But another thing that it does is it also goes during that loop and checks to see if the button been clicked. It adds all the listening for it. So in this loop, if you add an event handler or event listener, and it gets detected, this main loop will break out and say, "Hey, a button's been clicked. Find the listener," and the listener will be like, "Yes, I'm waiting for a click. Oh, here's the function you need to go up to that function and execute it." And then once it's finished executing, it'll come back to this main loop and continue looping. So once you do that, run your code and click on your turtle. What do you observe and what is missing in the code? So at this point, nothing will probably happen. Bob? Again, readability. You can't really. Oh. In order to make something happen when you click the shape, you have to use the shapes on click method. So recall what functions or how the functions are defined. We have def, function name, and parameters. So this is a function derived with parameter. So the on-click method of a turtle. So here it is. This is the definition of the method. Again, this is part of turtle, like shape and color is. So you would have spot or dot on click, and then it takes an F parameter. So this is used to handle events when a turtle is clicked on. So this is on click. This would be the left click of a mouse. F is a parameter passed in. So here's the next description of it. This method takes a function f as a parameter. So you pass in a function to this. F will define what happens when the turtle is clicked. So on click F, we'll send F two values, the X and Y, on the mouse. So when you pass in, so what it's saying here, so let me make this bigger. Yeah, I'm about to do it. Alright, so what this does, so let's do import turtle as turtle. And then we have let's do painter equals turtle dot turtle. I guess I can do this in Visual Studio and actually execute it. What's the name of this lesson? 1, 2. What's the name of? No, what is not 1, 2, 1, but what is actually 1, 2? This is abstraction. And this is 1.2. And these are 1.21. So I have here. I'm going to create a test file. Alright, so we have import turtle as dang it, turtle. And so we have a painter equals turtle dot turtle. And then let me come over here, when equals turtle dot screen. When dot main loop. Alright. So I'm going to have on the screen, I'm going to define a function. So this would be my function. And all it's going to do is print function executed. Right? So what it says here is that this onClick method takes a function f as its parameter. F will be defined what happens when the turtle is clicked. So when clicked, this is only executed when the turtle is clicked. So when clicked, it will send two values to f. So it will send f two values, an x and a y. Yes. So in other words, can you see the code? Okay. So in other words, this function I'm passing it needs to take two parameters, x and y. So if I do painter.onClick, and we can see here the description, it takes something called fun as a variable, and the description of it is something that's callable that takes two floating point numbers. There's also a third thing that says any, so it can take any something else. It can take a third parameter. We can also here see that so the first parameter is a function. The second parameter is btn, that stands for button. And then a third parameter is add, and those are optional. All we really need is just the first parameter, a function. I do not know. But the only required parameter is the single function. So I can give it this function name. So let's run it. So look, here's my turtle. Let's see what happens when I click. So I'm clicking all around, nothing's happening. Let's see what happens when I click on it. You notice function executed. So again, I'm clicking all around. And if I click on it, function executed. So it takes these parameters. So let's actually print them. So I like turning off the separation between them. So I come over here. So I'm going to do x equals x. And I'm going to add in a comma and do y equals y. And then I'm going to change the separation variable to be blank, because I don't want it to give spaces in. I manually put in the spaces. So now, when I come over here, look at what prints. -2 for x, and y is 2. Notice when I clicked right here. Now it's -8, 2. -1, 2. -9, -4. What do you see me doing changing? What part of the turtle I'm actually clicking on? So what do you think is really passing in as x is y? Okay, make so painter shape circle and painter dot is it pin size? And make that equal to 20. And then I'm going to come over here in my function and I'm going to print x core equals, actually let me just copy and paste this. So x core y core, and then I'm going to do painter dot x coordinates and painter dot y coordinates. So now let's run this. Hopefully it runs. Yes. It is a mistake. It doesn't matter. So look what happens when I click. So x coordinate and y coordinate of the turtle is 0. But look at the x and y values. So x coordinate and y coordinate is the center for the turtle. But what about x and y? It's where I click that. So this gets in the exact point I clicked. So So what you could do, what my point is, let me make this even bigger. Let's do 100. No, let's do this. Pen size isn't working. The way I want it. Dot shape size. That's what we wanted. We wanted shape size, not pen size. Let's do 50. I want a really large circle. No, pen size is a line. Size of the line. Yeah, because you're not seeing the size of the turtle. You're seeing the size of the line. So now I have a big circle. So this point right here, negative 194, y 0. This point right here, x is negative 3 because I'm slightly off. But we can see here that anywhere I click, where I click is what's being received on the function. It doesn't correspond necessarily to the turtle coordinates. However, have you taken geometry? Can you check to see if a point is within the radius of a circle? Do you know how to do distance in geometry? The square root of x1 minus x2 squared plus y1 minus y2 squared. My point is that this x and y, so it says it right here, the x and y coordinates of the mouse when the turtle is clicked. So what it does is send the x and y coordinates of the mouse location of where it was precisely clicked. Therefore, f must be defined with two parameters. The function referenced by onClick f must be defined to take two parameters x and y. And I said I wasn't going to give you any code. Show you any code. So, again, you're supposed to be able to take this and understand that you're supposed to be able to get something like this. So this is the method of the turtle object. It takes in a function. The function of this, whenever painter is clicked, it will send an x and y to this function. So this function must be able to take an x and y. Yes, you have to pass in a function. No. You can. This could be anything. In which case, I have to change it here. Anything. This could be blah, and this could be k, blah, and k, and it runs just fine. Sep is the separation variable. I explained that multiple times. So, today, like 10 minutes ago. Yes. So in a print statement, whenever you do a comma and another variable, it automatically adds in a blank, a space, right? So let me change this to a dash. Yeah. So look at so I have equals and then I have blah. So or no, let me do something more notice. I'm going to put in a question mark. Okay, so when I click on it, look at where the question marks are generated. So I have here an equal. So this is one thing. So let me space it out like this. So everything is comma delimited. So it's going to print this, put the equal sign, and then the next parameter is blah, which is our x coordinate. But between the equal sign and blah, it's going to add this separation variable, the separator, which I now define as question marks. So if you look here, between x, this part, and the number, it separates it using question marks. So by default, it does blank spaces. So by default, this is a blank space. And if you remove the blank space, it won't put spaces between it. So if I do print, again, I've already said this, hello world, going to, so if I do that, it does hello world, but it puts a space in between them. If I don't want that space, I can come over here and do separation equals nothing. And now it didn't print, a space between it. It did nothing. I don't like the automatic space that adds after or between every comma delimited parameter. So in the game section of your code, define a function called spot clicked. Note that they named their variable spot. You should rename this to whatever you named your turtle. So this example code uses the name spot as the main turtle for the game. You should replace spot with the name you gave your turtle. Again, you can choose spot if you want to be it. You want to test that the function will work before giving several lines of code. So in the body of spot clicked, add a print statement with a simple message that describes the event. So for example, something like this. Definition, spot clicks, it takes an X and a Y. So basically what I've already done for you. In the events section of the code before the main loop, add the following line of code. Again, wherever you named your turtle, line click, and pass in the parameter, the function as a parameter of this. So just the function name, nothing else. What's a what? Bobby what? Filet? It's not really good readability. Your variable isn't describing the turtle. We called the object you use to paint with a painter. They're calling a small little circle a spot. And if you have it as, if you change your shape to maybe a turtle, you're naming the turtle that, maybe it'll work. So add this in. The turtle module will automatically respond to the click. Make sure it's working for you. So for your first part is to do this. Again, I kind of somewhat did it for you, which I said I wasn't going to do. But read through. So for the first part of the submission, which, again, here's the submission file I'm working on. During step 1, it asks how might the function simple message and translate message be useful. Respond to that question. Write the 4 main parts. Step 10, run your code and click on the shape. What do you observe and what is missing from it? And then for today, submit the code at this point and save it to the version 0 that I'll add. Let's see, we got 10 minutes. Yeah, we do. Yes, we do. So move. Oh, let me see. How many days was this supposed to be done? Because we're already a day behind. This is supposed to take 3 days. Toward the end of the year, though, I'm going to be extending it more out because it'll take longer. I'm mostly keeping the time requirements because I want to have you guys do 2 projects every 6 weeks. Like, yeah, I want 2 projects. Yeah, like you'll have to do all the documentation. Technically though, there's going to be a project and a problem. We'll get to that later though. So it's going to be back-to-back projects basically. No. So now that you have written the code that handles the event of the shape being clicked, you will program the event handler to do more than just print a statement. More specifically, when the shape is clicked, the shape will move to a random location. So now we're going to be importing another module. So in order to generate random numbers, unless you want to create an algorithm yourself that generates a random number, it's better to import a module that already does it for you. Nope, it's pseudo-random. So that's a very good point. There is no such thing as random. If I don't have time today, but I'll go into it Tuesday. So the random module has several useful methods, such as generating random numbers with a range and selecting a random item from a given list. Here are methods used to complete the task. So randint. Note that this is a method that is inside the module random that you called, nicknamed rand. So in order to call this function, remember this only exists in this module random. So just like turtle class only existed in turtle module that you nicknamed TRTL. Yes, all your imports are always at the beginning of the code. So the random module has several useful methods. So if you wanted to do a random number between 0 and 100, so where start is an int represents the smallest possible value, and end is the largest possible number. This looks like a 1. It's actually an L for list. You can also do choice. So let's say I have a list of colors or a list of turtle shapes, and you want to do a random turtle shape. You could do rand.choice and pass in this, and it will randomly choose one from your list. Does that make sense? So import random as rand at the top. Let me make a list. So new list equals alpha, beta. Oh, what is the next one? Zeta? No, I'm doing Greek letters. Gamma. So alpha, beta, gamma. So gamma. So I could do rand dot choice, and I can pass in my list. Let me actually name it my list. The new list. I push delete. Delete goes to the right. Backspace goes to the left. So value equals. I'm choosing something random. So print value. So beta, gamma, alpha, beta, alpha, beta, beta, gamma, gamma, beta, alpha, alpha. So what this is doing is getting a random value from this list. We can also do rand int. Then it will select that one item. No. If you have nothing in it, then it will. You can't return, you can't get nothing from nothing. So let's do between 1 and 3. So 1, 3, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 2. Again, it's choosing a random number in this range, 1, 2, and 3. So remember that this rand int, whenever you should see random methods, so this is like methods of the module random, you have to use the module's name first, whatever nickname you gave it. Rand int. We usually abbreviate random as rand. I hate these comments. Or highlights. Again, if you don't include this, the default name of it is just random. So you would have to write out the full name random. So if I don't include this, this has to be random. Now does that. Or as Randy. Now I have to do randy.randint. Do not change the name of this. This needs to be rand. We will use this convention. As you can see, it's already done in here. This stands for random int. That's the correct way of abbreviating it. Again, it is so complicated because everyone does their own style. It is good to follow convention. So it says to find a new function called change position. The change position will not have any parameters. So def change position. Add to your notebook this phrase. Again, we don't really have notebooks. I'm not going to just have you copy and paste it. So in order to move your shape to a new random location, you have to first, and let me do code word. Running out of time. Here's the code word. So in order to move your shape to a random location, you first generate random numbers for the X and Y. The default screen size is 400 by 300. So that means the X values go from negative 200 to positive 200. The Y values go from negative 50 to positive 150. Yeah, it does. Again, I think it might change depending on how big your screen is. You should assume the smallest possible screen of this. Yeah, I can't finish. Try working on this. So, try working on Move a Turtle on your own too. Read it. We'll talk more. Yes. I want. Oh no. But go in and try to do click a turtle and move the turtle. Yes, I will post it to later today. So for the weekend, click a turtle and move a turtle. Follow the instructions. Here's what I have right now. I am still writing it up and we'll have it submitted.